Hello everyone, welcome back. Now let's go over our cookie class and look at the changes that I asked you to make. I asked you to add a couple of static constants for height and weight, or width, excuse me. And so I just filled in some numbers here. They're probably no relationship whatsoever to reality. And I also asked you to put in an instance variable for the topping. First question is, what type should a topping be? And it should be a string so that we can just describe it, chocolate sprinkles or whatever like that. And when we do this constructor where we're fully specifying everything, it should compile. I asked you to put in a no argument constructor. Well, there are no arguments here, but the next question comes up. What value am I going to give to my instance variables? Because you really should give something. Things can blow up if you don't. And so I happen to use dough equal unknown, none topping, and weight 0. Not the only things you could have put in there, but that's just what I picked. So we have a getter for dough, a getter for the topping, a getter for the weight. Now weight is a double, and so it returns a double, whereas get topping and get dough return string. Now, let's talk about bite. What happens when we take a bite out of our cookie? First of all, it's a mutator. It changes it changes our cookie. The collection of values for all of these instance variables for a particular cookie are referred to as the state of the cookie, and a mutator changes the state of its object. So if someone takes a bite out of our cookie, we should change the weight. But we don't want the weight to go below 0. You can eat all of a cookie, you can't eat more than all of a cookie. So I calculated the weight minus the bite size and called it temp, not a very exciting name. And if the temp is greater than or equal to 0, then I assign the weight to that value. If it was less than 0, somebody tried to eat more than the whole cookie, I just ignored it. Now that's a debatable action, but that's sort of beyond the scope of our course. Actually, I might throw an illegal argument exception there. That would be a very valid thing and very appropriate thing to do for the bite method when the size is greater than the weight of the cookie itself. So I have a setter for dough, a setter for topping, a setter for weight, which again, I protected, making sure the new weight was at least 0, and I did not change my cookie here. So now let's look at the tester, and I'm creating 2 cookies. With Jack, I'm using the default constructor. With Sally, I'm just creating the variable and using the constructor that has all of the values here on the constructor as actual parameters. And then for the Jack cookie, I'm using the setters to set Jack's values here. Jack was quite the hunter. He liked meat, and the topping, I'm sure, would have been gross. So I'm going to print these guys out, and then we're going to take a bite out of one of those cookies, and we'll let the user decide which one. So I can't predict what object I'm going to want to change here, and then I'll print them out again. So let's run this. And I will run it as a Java application. And let's let Jack take a bite. We see that Sally's cookie has the weight 5 and Jack's cookie has the weight 3. If we let Jack take a bite, we see that Jack's cookie now weighs 1 and Sally's hasn't changed. If we run it again and we let Sally take a bite, Sally's cookie now only weighs 1.5, down from 5, and Jack's hasn't changed. So you'll notice that we cannot just say cookie here. We have to tell it which object. Now, I am going to screw up my code, and I am going to make the weight static. So I'm going to stop the video, and I want you to think about what does this change in this cookie class? What is now true about weight that wasn't true earlier? And how is that going to change the behavior of my cookie objects? So I'll stop the video, let you guys tackle that, and we'll come back in a few minutes.